Hi guys, welcome back to Golden Reviewer. I'm here with another video, and as you can see here, today we have the iPhone 12 Pro Max, the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro 5G, and the Note 20 Ultra 5G. So they are some of the best devices you can buy on the market now until, of course, the Snapdragon 888 come out. And this has A14 Bionic chip. This has a Snapdragon 865, and this has a 865 Plus, right? So let's take a look at their specs. I'll use some software to show the information. And today we are going to compare the gaming performance of PUBG Mobile on them. Some of you may watch my previous videos, I did a comparison between the Note 20 Ultra versus the iPhone 12 Pro Max in the PUBG mobile game at 60 FPS versus 90 FPS. And some of you raised the concern that I was not running at the same graphics quality, okay? Because out of the box, you can only run smooth and 90 FPS on the Note 20 Ultra, while for iPhone 12 Pro Max there is no 90 FPS anyway, so I just set everything to max HDR and shadow and AA, everything, right? And you say, oh, it's not fair. What about today? Let's just set them all to HDR with shadow, with AA, everything to the max, and compare the gaming performance. And since the two Android devices, they have high refresh rate, I'll enable the 90 FPS on them. Then of course, you can't do that by default, because if you want 90 FPS, you can only do smooth, but I'll use GFX2 to enable the 90 FPS plus HDR, right? So as you can see here, I've already set everything, and I'll show you the game. This should be very, very interesting. And on paper, the A14 Bionic is the strongest SoC, it's the fastest and most efficient. And by right, the 865 Plus should be better than the 865, right? So this 865 is supposedly the most outdated and weakest SoC, right? But is that really the case? Alright, so firstly, let's just take a look at the graphics settings. You can see that on the iPhone is set to HDR and Extreme. Extreme is 60 FPS. And everything I'll just turn on, right? So that's the highest quality you can get. We are not going for Ultra HD because it will limit your FPS to 40, and nobody plays the game at 40 FPS, right? While on the Xiaomi and Samsung, you can see the setting is HDR plus Extreme. That's because it won't tell you it's 90 because it's not officially supported, right? And AA and shadow, but in fact it's running at 90. You can just see from here. You see the FPS is showing 90. So this thing is indeed running at 90. It's just not showing in the in-game settings, right? Take note of that. This is running at 90 FPS. And exactly same graphics quality. It's the same story for the Note 20 Ultra. It's not showing 90 because it's not officially supported, but if you check the FPS meter, it's actually running at 90. I think it's over 90 is just because the animations, but anyway, normally it's running at 90, 91, 89, something like that, right? So without further ado, let's just move on to the testing. And of course, just as I usually do, I'll show you a real-time FPS meter on top of each device. So this time around, I'll do something different. Unlike my previous videos where I always show the full gameplay for you to watch, I realized that might be too long, and there is just no point in showing such a long gameplay, right? So this time I'll show the gameplay. I'll fast forward. I'll speed up the recording, and I'll actually explain some of the key time points to you, right? So let's start. Let's initially every device is doing just fine. The iPhone is running at stable 60 FPS. The two Androids can maintain 90 FPS, no problem. And let's just speed up the video. All right. Now we are at the 5-minute mark. And as you can see, the iPhone is still doing just fine. 60 FPS is not an issue for any modern day flagship SoCs. But the Note 20 Ultra is actually starting to drop frames. It actually started from around 3 minutes, and now you can see the FPS is somewhere between 80 to 90 FPS. It cannot maintain stable 90 anymore. While on the Xiaomi Mi10T Pro, the FPS is still a very, very stable 90 FPS, which is impressive, alright? Okay, let's speed up the video again and move on to the close to 20 minutes mark. Let's move to around 18 or 19 minutes. Alright, as you can see here, the iPhone is still doing 60, no issue at all. It's just a straight line, right? It's very stable. But the Note 20 Ultra, because of the temperature keep rising, it will actually throttle a little bit more, and you can see the FPS is dropping a little bit more. Instead of 80 to 90, now it's doing something more like 70 to 80 FPS. Alright, but it's still not bad. The game is still smooth. You can't really feel a much stutter unless you are really that kind of top of the line players, right? But still, the Mi10T Pro is doing absolutely fantastic. It's still running the game at 90 FPS, almost no frame drops at all. Sometimes you see a little bit 88, 85, 89, but that's nothing to worry about. It's virtually the game is still running at a solid 90 FPS. Alright, so just like my test, I'll actually stop the Battle Royale game at the 20 minutes mark, and we'll move on to a team deathmatch game, right? Just to try something different. Alright, so now we play the team deathmatch for almost 10 minutes, and the overall gameplay time is around close to 30 minutes. And of course, we'll just skip the iPhone because it's still doing 60 FPS, no issue at all, which is expected. But the Note 20 Ultra, unfortunately, throttles a little bit more, and now it's doing. Sometimes you see FPS below 70, but I don't see anything below 60, so it's still doing a little bit higher FPS than the iPhone. 60, 70, around 70 FPS. But the Xiaomi Mi10T Pro is a beast. Even after 30 minutes heavy gaming at HDR plus AA plus shadow at 90 FPS, it's still doing a very stable 90 FPS. And that is supposedly the weakest SoC of the three, but it's actually doing the best, right? So that tells you how important the thermal design and the optimization and all the throttling policy is for a device when it comes to gaming, right? the Snapdragon 865 Plus is not necessarily better than the 865. And your A14 Bionic, I know it's the strongest SoC, it's the fastest, it's the most efficient, but when it's put inside the phone that only has 60 Hz display, what's the point? Okay, finally let's take a look at the FPS record and also the power record, just as I'll normally show you. For iPhone, no surprise there, the FPS is stable at 60 almost all the time, so eventually you get 59 average FPS, which is a very good number for a device running at 60 Hz, right? That's as good as you can get. And for Samsung, as you already see, the FPS start dropping after about 3 to 4 minutes, and it keeps gradually dropping along the 30 minutes gameplay. And eventually we have 77 average FPS, which is not say bad, you can't say bad, right? It's still very impressive performance. But the Xiaomi Mi10T Pro achieves an amazing 88 FPS. It's 90 almost all the time, right? Let's move on to the power record. For iPhone, because it's running at 60 Hz and the SoC is so efficient, the average power is only around 3 watt, and divide by battery capacity, that gives us an estimated playtime of around 4.7 hours. So you can play this game from 100% battery to 0% for 4.7 hours non-stop, which is actually very good, right? For the Note 20 Ultra and Xiaomi Mi10T Pro, they are actually using the same amount of power, although the Xiaomi achieves higher performance. So this is really interesting to me, and I think it might be because reasons like the display resolution difference and other stuff, but among all these reasons, I think the Snapdragon 865 Plus is not as efficient as the 865. That's one of the reasons as well. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, check out my previous community post, right? So they are both using 4.5 watt of power. That gives us an estimated battery life of 4.3 hours on the Xiaomi Mi10T Pro versus 3.8 hours on the Note 20 Ultra. Okay, so the Xiaomi Mi10T Pro, because of the bigger battery, the efficient SoC, possibly very good thermal design, I think it's the best gaming device of these three, right? So with that, that wraps up my test today. I'm very happy to share this with you. So if any of you have any comments or suggestions or anything, please leave me a comment. Remember, I buy all these devices with my own money. I'm not taking in any sponsor or any paid promotion or anything. These are all unbiased review. I just want to show you the truth, right? So please support me. And if you want to see more of this content coming, please subscribe and share and thumbs up. Okay, see you next time.